And good morning, Hoosier fans, and welcome to a victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. I am your host, Chad Schwartzkopf. This is Hoosier Morning After Stanford. Your Indiana Hoosiers go on to defeat the Stanford Trees 79-63 in an overall better outing. A game we know we needed to see better response from the team. A game we wanted to see him bounce back. We want to see who would get going, who for the Hoosiers would come out ready to play, would respond to the criticism, and respond to many questions that we had, honestly, going into it. As I've stated on the Assembly Call postgame show, it was kind of threefold for me in questions going into it. We wanted to see, who would step up, who would not be denied this win or this opportunity and could bounce back from it. Two was Trayce Jackson-Davis. How would he perform? How would he respond to the criticism? And would he be more aggressive? And then three was with Al injured and out. And knock on wood, thank goodness, all reports sound decent, like it's nothing major. He did dress and shoot around during the Stanford game, so at least reports sound good, but he obviously didn't play, which is good. I think he needs to sit out and rest that. But who would respond? Who would bring up the slack that is lost when you lose your senior leader like that, a creator, a north-south guy? Who would step up and do that? And we got great answers to all of that. And the answers came in the form of our sophomore class. And Trayce Jackson-Davis took off, had his career high points, and Armaan Franklin stepped into that role, that gap that we lost with Al, and was fantastic. Really kind of everything in the tempo was set early in this game. The very first points that IU scored was a beautiful pull-up shot by Armaan Franklin. Dribbling at the top, stepped a couple steps in from the three-point line and knocked down beautiful shot. Something that's great for him to have in his arsenal, something that's great for Indiana to have as a play to go to. Because, again, any sort of shooting outside of 5 feet from the basket is a welcome thing for this Indiana team, being that I believe our two best players that have been established now through this tournament in Trayce and Race work down there. So we need to open that up as much as we can. So that little shot can help that. If he can nail that consistently, that can become part of the scouting report for other teams that they have to account for. That'll be just fantastic at spreading things out. And once the three-point shot obviously comes to fruition and gets back going for the team, everyone finds their stroke and everything, which I still believe that we can improve on that. Guys will just kind of get into the groove and get a little bit of their swagger back, and that three-point shot will become a little more reliable. Maybe reliable is too strong to say with this Indiana team. A little more consistent. I don't know if I can say consistent, but a little better, maybe. Better is the word to say, and not curse it. But yeah, Rob was an interesting piece to this game too, because now if you think about it, if you think about it immediately after the game, you thought Rob had a good game because you're fresh in your mind. You're thinking those 3-point shots that he hit in the second half, which were great. Those 3-point shots were great to see go down, and was even better to see with those 2 3-point shots going down was that the first one was created by Race Thompson dribbling in and kicking to him, and a great catch and shoot. Wonderful in his stroke, beautiful chest pass right to him so he could go up right in rhythm. Perfect way to get him going from 3. And then I believe it was the next possession by Indiana that he took the ball and made one off the dribble. So I love that they were so close back to back. It showed that he felt the groove from that first one going in, and I believe that's a big thing for him. If he can see one go in, I think it drops weight off his shoulders. He feels a lot better getting that shot to go in. I feel like he's been cautious otherwise to take that shot, to get that shot to go in. And I believe it's a combination of things. One is just he doesn't have the confidence in it quite yet. this season, and two is a situation I saw as well with Anthony Leal, and you see with Trey Galloway as well, which I believe they are just following coach's orders. I think it's been ingrained in their head in the offseason to no turnovers, pass the ball, get it into Trace Jackson, inside out, no turnovers kind of thing. So I think they play cautious, and they're leery to take that shot because they feel like it's not in the game plan. But I want to see him take it a few more times. When he can get decent looks and can get in the flow, I'm willing to sacrifice a few missed shots, especially in the first half, as far from three, to test that theory. That's the same thing with Anthony Leal. Anthony Leal in high school was a fantastic three-point shooter, and he played quite a bit of minutes. He had 18 minutes, and he had 2 shots, 1 field goal shot and 1 3-point shot. And I feel like you have to, those that listen to Assembly Call, I'm going to be repeating myself here, but if you think to Wisconsin, who we always play and always has knockdown shooters, when they have that shooter guy that goes in, one of the first plays that they run it for that shooter, and they run it to get him open and have him shoot the basket and see if he's hot or not, let him get a feel for the game, find his rhythm. And that's something I think we need to do with Anthony Leal. Once he goes in there, I want the coaches to call a play to get the ball to him and have him take a shot. Because what's it going to hurt? I mean, if you're just going to put him out there and you're just going to have him as a minute taker, as a rest guy for some other players, why not let's at least sacrifice one possession to at least try that and see if he can be hot. Because then, I mean, if he can be a go-to, even if he just hits that one shot, or they run that play and he takes that shot and he still misses, that's still going to make his defender, while he is out there the rest of the time, honor that and be a little bit tighter on him. But if you have him out there and all he is doing is standing in the corner and passing it every time he gets the ball, his defender doesn't have to worry about him offensively. He can sag in. That's someone tighter in to come in quicker on a double team to Trace Jackson Davis or race. Or if another player is driving, if Armand Franklin is making a driving play or someone else is trying to get to the basket, that's just another body that can sink in quickly and clog up the lane. So Coach, you don't listen to this, but hey, let's try that. Let's just try that. Let's sacrifice that one possession just because I think it's going to open up so much more elsewhere for the game. Second half was great. It was nerve-wracking going into halftime. I was a little concerned because I know Stanford's a decent team. They're a good defensive team. So I was concerned going into second half that IU would come out flat. Wanted to see how the Hoosiers came out. And that tempo was set, or pace was set, and hustle was set by Race again. Kind of the start of the second half, he had on a defensive possession, he had a block on one end, and then he took off running. Whoever brought the ball up then saw, I think there was maybe one more pass out to the wing, but Race had a lane to the basket. He got the ball, 2-3 dribbles, layup, or I think he may have even dunked it, but he got the basket there. So that really set the tempo. And that's, I feel like I'm going to say tempo a lot with this team, because what starts the game in both halves has really shown to be a tempo setter for this team, and has shown to be something that carries over and stays consistent within the game. I mean, that's what you saw in the first game, the Providence game of the tournament, when Race was dominant at the beginning of the game, and then that's what he did. And I already talked about the start of this game, Armand getting going, and then Trace Jackson Davis getting going. and getting those two going. And then they continued to have fantastic games. And then Race in the second half set the tempo, and he had a fantastic game as well. That's a little overshadowed by what the sophomores did. But it's good to see. And the other thing that you haven't really seen in spades yet, and I hope it's out of, again, knock on wood again, hopefully out of Indiana's uh-oh list, is last year we always ran into runs, teams going on runs on us. And I know that's what basketball is. It can be a series of runs. But I feel like we've done a pretty good job of staying relatively consistent and within the game and going on our own runs and not allowing the other team to go on runs. There was a moment that got a little scary in the second half. At about the 15-minute mark, IU had a big lead of 43 to 33. It wasn't too long before that they first stretched it out, I believe, to 10 points. And I even put in my notes that this is a big moment. IU can put them away here, can really set the tone for the second half and make it like Stanford's having to dig out the whole entire time. Well, after that, I believe Rob went out. We had 3 empty possessions, and they brought it back close. They brought it within 4 to 43 to 39. Granted, I think right after that, IU responded, which was good to see. I think that was right about the time that Rob came back in and hit his threes and spread it out. And then from then on, you never really saw Stanford have a chance. IU just kind of took over from then on. But overall, I'm pretty happy just looking at it as a whole with this Maui Invitational. We went up against some good defenses. I mean, right now in Ken Palm adjusted defense, Texas is number 2 in the country. They gave North Carolina last night a run for their money. I thought North Carolina came back in the second half, but I really thought that Texas was going to dominate them. And I was crossing my fingers for a blowout the same way Indiana had, just to be like, see, Texas is good. But Texas is good. They're a good team. And then against Stanford, even with the game that they had against Indiana, and they played good defense against us too, made it difficult in some areas, is number 6 in adjusted defense. So, again, those are early numbers in the season. They adjust for off-season stuff and everything like that. But those are good numbers to see and look at. And those you cheer for. If you're an Indiana Hoosier, we won't see him again for a long time. But send good emotions, send good feelings to those two teams, because we need them to keep winning and win really big and win their divisions. Providence as well. Because that only helps our strength of schedule, our resume going forward if those teams continue to do well. And I believe Texas will, definitely. Stanford will do well in their division as well. Providence, I don't know as much about them and theirs, but that Texas team is tough. They're coached really well. I really would like Shaka to go back to the baldness. I don't know if I like the curly hair. That kind of is a little freaky to me. Looks a little tougher with the bald head, I'd have to say. But yeah, Texas is going to be a good team, so that's going to be the sting of that loss is not going to be as severe, since again it is a good team and it happened so early in the season as well. That is also going to be kind of a forgiving factor for that loss for Indiana. Again, you don't like to see a loss, especially the way it was, but it was a good learning. If a loss like that is going to happen, this is when it happens, and that is the kind of opponent you want it to happen to or against. Because, again, it's not going to hurt you. And look at the learning opportunity that the coaches had, and look at the response the guys had. That's fantastic. If we had lost that and then come out and lost the second one, devastating for this team, devastating for the confidence and everything like that. Look at the confidence they have now. Now they have a week to relax and rest, and then they play another really good team, similar in a way to Texas with their physicality and their size and athleticism. So we got to be ready. We got to get excited. We got to do what we need to do and carry over everything that we had from here. Another thing to take away from the tournament is we never have to listen to Bill Walton again. That was just a train wreck. I can't believe professional producers thought that was a good idea. I'm someone, if you don't know, I work in production. I work on filming commercials, and I've done some live events and things in the past, and it can be tough, I know, when you have hosts and that talk and want to keep talking and everything like that, but they've kind of made him into this character for the tournament, and they've embraced it and stuff, and I don't think they realize that everyone's tuning in to watch their teams. They're tuning in to watch basketball, ESPN. They're not tuning in to listen to Bill Walton talk about random weird stuff and see the same pictures of him camping and rowing a boat 10 times over, or his dog standing next to a tent. That's all good and well. And a little bit of that is good. But you want about 10% of that and 90% of the game. We had almost 5 minutes of game time where the game was shrunken to about 3/4 of the size of the screen, so we could see 3 windows of the hosts, the anchors, and their musical guest. And they just interviewed. Every so often, the one guy tried to talk about the game. Oh, Indiana makes a basket. So about your musical career. Good Lord, that was aggravating. I'm sorry to rant on that, but again, it's almost kind of part of what I do. And it's aggravating to see when a network is just so oblivious to their audience like that. And just stop doing that. Stop. My other beef in sports coverage, at least we didn't get too crazy with that, is that 3/4 shot. That shot from one basket looking straight down to the other basket. A lot of basketball games, they like to throw that shot in there, and they stay on that for too long. We didn't get into that, but that was terrible. That was bad. Right into your local station and tell them about it. But just frustrating. But again, I digress. Great game, great Hoosier outing. Great to see everyone respond. Great to see Rob take more chances. Again, I had talked in the previous games about the zeros that he had. One was about shooting, and he ended 2 for 3 from 3, and the other one was turnovers. He ended with 5. So he was taking a little more risks like I wanted to see him do, trying to drive in and everything. Again, I don't think all those were the good turnovers. And if you think turnovers can be good, but a good turnover is when you're trying to create and something just doesn't click right. I would call that a good turnover, if there is such a thing. But a lot of them were just mistakes made, but good minutes by him overall. And Lander struggled a little bit, but I think he did some things off the stat sheet that were very good as far as moving around, moving the ball, getting the ball up the court quickly, keeping the pace of the game going. Jerome Hunter had 14 minutes, 2 for 4 shooting, took a 3 and missed it. Had some good rebounds. Had some good backdoor cuts. There's a few times. There's one play, even two, where he was in good position to receive a missed shot by Trace Jackson, and instead of going back up with it, he was able to pass out or something like that. But he had a good game. I was satisfied enough with his minutes, but I expect more from him overall, and think that he could do more moving forward. Trey Galloway disappeared a little bit in this game. I think he kind of got beat defensively a little bit more this game than he did. Maybe he might be getting tired. Again, it's a totally different level of basketball for him in 3 days in a row. So that's a guy that really needs a strong motor to keep going and keep doing the things that he does in a game for IU. So some rest and everything will probably see him a little bit better back to form that we're used to. Another amazing stat to look at is Armand Franklin, again, overall had a fantastic game, but the amazing thing about it is that he played 40 minutes. And he played that whole entire time. And I didn't even realize that until I looked at the stat sheet at the end of the game, that he never came out. And coach in the after game interview even said to that fact that he asked him in the timeout, do you need a blow? And Armand goes, no, I'm good. So that's amazing that he saw that he wanted to play. And after, especially, let me see if I can bring up his minutes from the previous 2 games, but even after playing 2 other games, that he has the confidence in his game, or that it shows that he's feeling it, that he is saying, no, I'm good, coach. I want to stay out there. So in the first game, Providence game, he had 28 minutes. So that's a decent amount, a lot more than he had last year, I believe. I don't know his average minutes from last year. And then in the Texas game, he had 30 minutes. So that's a lot of minutes of basketball. So he had 98 minutes of basketball in 3 days. That's a lot. That's a lot of running. So it's great to see that he has that athleticism and that stamina to him to keep going, and that drive. I mean, that tells me he's got a lot of drive. And I think we saw that last year. The skills weren't there, and the game hadn't slowed down for him as a freshman last year to see the success that it's finally clicked this year. But that drive and that confidence was there last year. We saw it especially at Bankers Life. We saw a fantastic game there for him. So great to see that he can weather those minutes if called upon. And what was even better about it too is that he didn't show any fatigue towards the end of the game in regards to that those minutes. He was still making those 10-foot jumpers, 15-foot jumpers even. At that point, nothing was coming up short. It was still getting in the rim nicely. So fantastic to see going forward, and very exciting to have a player that you can count on like that. And let's see if he can make it consistent. Let's see how he can translate that. And what it does for Indiana is it makes, as I've said, and it's going to be hopefully a reoccurring theme. Indiana is going to be a tough team to scout, because there's lots of different guys that can get going for this team. And what makes that good as well is that if they game plan for one, then another one's going to be left open or going to have an opportunity. So it makes it tough for them. You can't play zone coverage, and you got to stay on man-to-man, because if you try to, in the idea of football, try to come over in doubles, play more zone, which I'd like to see this team attack. I'd like to see the zone. I feel like we could do good with the zone, especially that Armand pull-up can be very good against the zone. So that's one thing I look forward to in the future, is to see how we attack the zone and what we do with the zone defense. So yeah, one other thing I wanted to share in today's game, you see that I always have my coffee with me, and I hope you have your coffee too while you're watching and listening to the show. I don't live in Indiana anymore. I live down in the South, and I wanted to open it up to you. And if you find a cool Indiana mug, you have Goodwills there that you can go to a Goodwill, and a lot of times they have cool old retro IU mugs. Message me on Twitter at General Chadwick. We'll hook up, and I'll figure out a way. You can send it to me if you want, or if maybe you have one that's dusty in the back of your cabinets that you could get rid of. Message me. We'll figure out a way. I'll cover the shipping to get it down here to me. I'll use it on one of the shows. So I'll give you a shout out. Shout out your a message if you want, or your Instagram or Twitter account, anything like that. I'll give you a shout out on the show. So I think that might be fun. Little thing to do. Have listener mugs going through. So yeah, I think that'll do it on today's show. Thank you for watching this edition of Hoosier Morning After. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. There you can watch live every morning after the games. If you miss the live show, you can watch the replay on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. where you can find announcements about the show and ask questions. A special thanks to fellow Bloomington South grad and old neighbor of mine, Bob Thompson, for creating the music you hear on the show. I'll see you next time, the game after. That'll be in a week from now. Until then, have a wonderful day and go Hoosiers.